Hello everyone and welcome to Jade Productions' follow-up video for the Adeptus Custodes review. The Adeptus Custodes faction this week past has, at the time of recording this, it should go up almost immediately, has just received its first FAQ, which we're going to take a look at and see if that addresses anything in their codex. And then, in a rare move, Forge World have done some pre-release rules, some beta rules for several units from their Legio Custodes line that will go into the next Imperial Armour with final rules, but as of right now are available for you to use in your Custodes armies. We'll have a little discussion about them, and that'll be this follow-up video, just to see, more about this faction, how they're shaping up to be. So, diving straight into the FAQ, there's only one errata, so only one change. It just addresses some wording on the abilities page, so nothing to concern yourself there. The question and answers, the first question, straight up, is can Captain Trajan still can't say his name, can Senator Valorum, Supreme Chancellor of the Republic, use his Moment Shackle ability to regain command points when a stratagem is used during deployment? So, say if you've used the From Golden Light stratagem, and you've spent 3 CP or 1 CP to, I don't know why you'd ever use this thing on 1 CP even if you could, but if you've done that to put some Custodes in reserve to drop down later in the game, yeah, the answer was that yes, Trajan Valoris can do this, provided he's on the battlefield when you use a stratagem, which I immediately would have thought you can't do this, but they've said you can. So in order to so you can actually just put him down on the battlefield and put your deep strikers in deep strike reserve with those stratagems, and then use his Moment Shackle to get however many stratagems back. To get your D3 command points back. That's cool. Interesting. I guess someone must have tried that for people to ask. To be honest, I wouldn't have thought that, because I see a lot of people, most people put their deep strikers in reserve at the very beginning in the mind games to get people to try and set up their stuff first. But it's good to know that he can do that. It clears that up a little bit. As I said, I would have thought it would have been a no. The next question is the choice of a the choice of a Vexilla for a Vexillus Praetor is made when you add this model to your army. Does a model count as being added to my army when I choose it as part of my army, or when I deploy it to the battlefield? Now, I don't know why this question was asked. This seems like a really silly question to me. As if someone didn't read, as if whoever, asked this didn't actually read the rules. Because while it says choose it when you add it as part of your army, it has points cost. So, you choose it when you're assembling your list, when you're doing your army list. I would have thought that was logic, since it has, a points value. And it's basically, the thing is basically saying, when you choose to take this, it has to have one of these, and you have to pay the points for it. And of course, the fact immediately says, when you choose it as part of your army. So when you're building your army list, you pay the points. That's the Vexilla that Praetor has. I thought that was pretty straightforward. Apparently someone was confused. How does the next question concerns a stratagem, so let me just flick to the stratagem page. So the next question in the FAQ is, how does the Ever Vigilant stratagem interact with characters with a wounds characteristic of less than 10? Can Ever Vigilant allow a unit to target such a character who arrives as reinforcements even if they are not the closest enemy unit? Just a quick reminder, Ever Vigilant is the 2 CP stratagem. You use it in your opponent's Immediately after your opponent sets up a unit that is arriving on the battlefield as reinforcements within 12 inches of a Custodes infantry unit from your army, you can immediately shoot at it as if it were your shooting phase, but you must subtract 1 from the hit rolls. So their question is, if it's a character with more than 10 wounds and a deep strikes in, can you shoot it? And the answer that Games Workshop has provided here has been no, unless they shoot weapons that can target characters, even if they are not the closest enemy unit. I guess that's a little interesting. I don't actually know of too many I can't think of too many characters that can actually deep strike like that. Oh, characters with less than 10. Yeah, well, it clarifies that. See, that only really affects your Alaris Custodians, because they're the ones with the that can target characters, I'm pretty sure. Jeez. I would have thought no, since, it's part of the core rules and all, but let's see. I gotta find the Alaris Custodians, because if they're gonna... Yeah, that just makes logic sense to me. But it's also a bit interesting. It means you can sort of do some cheeky shenanigans. That's more relevant for people fighting Custodes with Custodes, I think, or people with really character heavy. Well, let's put it this way. It's excellent if you're a Space Wolves player trying to take on the Custodes, because it means you can drop down a whole bunch of lone wolves in Terminator armor, and they can't be targeted by those cheeky Custodes, which means you can have a decent shot of getting your guy in there unmolested, which is interesting. The next one is... how many units can be set up near a Vexillus Praetor when using the Vexilla Teleport Homer stratagem? The Vexilla jeez, I can't even see it. Yep, okay. So 3 CP, use this stratagem at the end of your movement phase when you set up a teleporting Adeptus Custodes unit. At the end of the phase, you can set it up wholly within 6 inches of a friendly Vexillus Praetor, and more than 3 inches away from an enemy models. Any models that cannot be set up this way are destroyed. So, yeah, that makes sense to me, to be honest. You're paying 3 CP to put down a single unit. You're going to make sure that unit's important. It's the ability to bypass that 9-inch, deep strike bubble of protection that's meant to protect people getting charged from deep strikers and flamed. So, 3 CP for a single unit, that's doesn't really change a lot, because their answer to this question was 1 unit each time the stratagem is used. You can use it more than once, obviously, but okay. Their next question is, does the Wrath of Angelus affect its bearer? Now, the Wrath of Angelus, if I can remember what that is, I'm pretty sure it's a relic. Yeah, model with a Vexilla Magnifica only. The Wrath of Angelus replaces the model's Vexilla. It loses its Custodes Vexilla. Instead, friendly Imperium Infantry and Biker within 6 for mass morale. If the bearer does not move, you can roll a d6 for each unit, friend or foe, within 6 inches. Subtract 1. This is the one that spits out mortal wounds on a 4-up. Or on a 6-up. For Custodes and characters, they take D3 mortal wounds. Wow, that's shit. That's really crap. Because their answer to this question was, does the Wrath of Angelus affect its bearer? And they haven't specified which part. So that means all of it, which means A, it's going to be auto-passing. whoop-dee, it's a single character. And it means it can potentially be killed by its own relic. On a 6, you can potentially do mortal wounds to yourself if you use this relic. That's crap. But it's on a 6, so your chances of it getting off and hurting you and killing yourself is low. Still silly. Doesn't change the effectiveness of that relic. It's a relic I question to begin with. And then the next question is also addressed at the Wrath of Angelus, because following on from can it mortal wounds itself, because when you're rolling to determine if it takes mortal wounds, it's -1, so on a 5-up, for units within 6 inches. So when you're rolling for the Wrath of Angelus to do mortal wounds, it's on a 4-up, normally. On a 5-up for characters, and on a 2-up if the unit has the Adeptus Custodes keyword. Sorry. Duh. On a 6-up, I meant. I'm reading the thing as I'm go. So 5 for characters, 4 for regular people, and on a 6+ for Custodes. Do the modifiers for the Wrath of Angelus stack? So would you subtract 3 for an Adeptus Custodes character? And the answer is just flat out no. Okay. I get why that's asked. Bit of a I get why that was asked, and I get why that doesn't stack. It doesn't need to. It's already a really low chance. To me, that makes the... I suppose it makes sense that it affects the bearer, since it's everything within 6 inches, and auras affect the unit generating the aura, so... Still makes the Wrath of Angelus a little crappy. Yeah, but more the exciting stuff. We can move on to the brand new Forge World stuff. So, this is beta Forge World stuff, which of course means it's not official, but you can play with it. You can play with it as you wish. It means it's subject to change when they finally release their Imperial Armour volume. Which of course I will try and get my hands on, because if their next Imperial Armour involves AdMech, Fires of Cyrax! If it ever eventually comes here, I will buy it and do a follow-up on this, because it should open up both the options for AdMech and Custodes quite considerably. So there are points values. It's Forge World, so you can expect these points values are nuts. So, the first thing they get is the Contemptor Achilles Dreadnought. Oh boy. So it's 13 power, it's an elite, it's got a degrading stat line. And its 3 degrading stats are movement, weapon skill, and ballistic skill. At 7 to 12 plus wounds, it's a 9-inch movement and weapon skill, ballistic skill 2-up. In its second degradation, it's at 6-inch, 3-up, 3-up, and then on its last final degradation, it's a 4-inch move for 4. It's strength and toughness 7. It's 12 wounds. It's 4 attacks. It's leadership 9, and it's 2+ armor save. It's equipped with 2 Lastrum Stormbolters and an Achilles Dread Spear. In addition, you may only include one of these units per detachment in your army, so you can only have one of these. Oh boy. Oh boy. Well, from an initial glance as a stat line, it's pretty impressive. Let's have a closer look. So, it's armed with the Achilles Dread Spear, which has both a shooting and a melee profile, like most Custodes. So, basically, it's a really big Custodes spear, apparently. So, its shooting profile has a 36-inch range, it's heavy D3, it's strength 9, oh boy, and AP minus 3, D3 damage. It's a mini las cannon. Oh my. It is a mini las cannon. That's pretty cool. Heavy D3, maybe 1 to 2 shots, but hitting on 2s. Strength 9, you're going to be wounding pretty much everything on 3s. Wounding Scabby Thrax from Forge World's Greater Unclean One on a 4-up. Very few things in this game do that. AP minus 3 is good AP. You know, most things with a invul save are going to be taking their invul saves against it. It's D3 damage. D3 damage is okay. It makes sense. Most other things are D3 damage. So the Achilles Dread Spear, its melee profile is, of course, melee. It's strength times 2, which puts it up to strength 14 when it's attacking. It's AP minus 3. Good AP. It's D6 damage per hit. Ooh, it's 4 attacks. Hitting on 2s. Hitting at strength 14. AP minus 3. Oh boy. And then, in addition to that, any damage rolls less than 3 that are made for this weapon count as 3. So, it's strength 14, it's AP minus 3, it's hitting on 2s, it's going to be wounding 2s and 3s, it's going to be doing a minimum 3 damage, maximum 6 damage per hit. At a decent AP, at a very good AP. That is nuts. That is a melee neutron laser. That is a melee neutron laser. That is pretty hilarious. The Lastrum Storm Bolters from before are 24 inches. It has 2 of these. So it has 2 24-inch Rapid Fire 2, Strength 5, AP minus 1, Damage 1. So, Storm Bolters, but Heavy Bolter Strength. Heavy Bolter Storm Bolter thing? Okay. It's a heavy bolter with the firing capacity of a storm bolter. Storm bolter's nothing to laugh at this edition. That's pretty cool. It's a lot of shots at 12-inch range. It's a dreadnought, so you can deep strike it with From Golden Light They Come, which is huge for something that's this melee monster. This thing is gonna tear tanks apart. I like it. It gives a real anti. A lot of your melee is anti-tank for Adeptus Custodes, so you know it's good to have that. Also, it's really good. So, okay. Its special rules include. The first one is Impaling Lunge. Ooh, that doesn't sound nice. In any turn in which this unit has successfully made a charge move, any melee attacks which hit on a 6 cause 1 mortal wound each in addition to their usual damage. Ouch! Ouch, 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 ouch. So to hit rolls of 6 are causing a mortal wound, and then after you roll to wound and do your damage, you're doing your standard 3 damage each minimum. That's pretty cool. That's very scary cool. On a 6, but still cool. Nice mental image there. Automatic shielding. This model has a 5-up invul save. Okay. Because it's a Contemptor. Unyielding Ancient, so, on a 6-up Feel No Pain. Pretty standard. And it does explode. It degrades and explodes. It's got the Imperium and Custodes faction keywords, and it's got the Vehicle, Dreadnought, and Contemptor Achilles Dreadnought keywords. There's a fair few things that support Dreadnoughts in the Codex, which is pretty cool. So it's able to deep strike this thing. You're able to do Wisdom of the Ancients on it. So you can give it rerolls 1s for its hit rolls. It works with pretty much everything else in the Codex that gives bubbles, the few things that do, shield captains. Yeah. Just what else affects it? Uh, okay, so, you can give it Bringers of the Emperor's Justice for 1 CP. You can let it get extra attacks on a 6+ to hit if it's targeting Heretic Custodes. You can use this. You can use Avenge the Fallen for 1 CP to let it, Oh no, because you gotta have more than a thing. No, never mind on that one. That's a squad-based thing. Yeah, you can Wisdom of the Ancients it for rerolls. It doesn't have a Guardian Spear. You can't Inspire Fear on it, sadly, because it's got the vehicle keyword. It is targetable for Indomitable Guardians, which lets you pick an Adeptus Custodes unit from your army within 3 inches of an objective marker and fight with it next. It's pretty funny. Yeah. It's not eligible for Network Machine Spirits. That only affects your Land Raiders. It's not... Doesn't qualify for Avatars of the Emperor. No. Sadly, no. It is compatible with the Unflinching to let it Overwatch on 5s. Not that you'd ever really do that. And of course, the most important thing is that you can use From Golden Light They Come to deep strike this super melee heavy Contemptor Achilles Dreadnought. So yeah, for reference, the Adeptus Achilles is 160 base, plus its Dread Spear is 75, and then it's got 2 Lastrum Storm Bolters. So 245 points, because the Lastrum Storm Bolters are 5 each. That's pretty good. That's expensive, but that is super killy, especially since you can deep strike it. You just need to wait for it to get rerolls to its charge, and oh boy. So, yay on that. So, next is the second unit that Forge World have given them to play around with these rules, is the Contemptor Exemplar Dreadnought. It's got the same stat line, except this one is equipped with 2 Dreadnought combat weapons and 2 Lastrum Storm Bolters. And it also has only one of these units per detachment in your army. And there is a designer's note that currently the Exemplar Dreadnought does not have a model, so you may choose to represent it with another Contemptor Dreadnought model. Fair enough. Now, its Dreadnought close combat weapons are the same as regular ones. We already said what the Lastrum Storm Bolters do. They're basically heavy bolters, but with a Storm Bolter shooting profile. And then it has the following war gear options. A Contemptor Exemplar may choose to take 1 heavy weapon from the following list, replacing 1 Dreadnought combat weapon and 1 Lastrum Storm Bolter. So it can take a Twin Las Pulsar, which is a 36-inch heavy 2d3 strength 9 AP-3 D3 damage last cannon. Okay, so it is a mini last cannon machine gun. Looks like someone stole an Eldar gun off an Eldar Titan and put it on a Contemptor Dreadnought. That's what it looks like. And you can replace... Okay. 1 or both Lastrum Storm Bolters may be exchanged for one of the followings. A Heavy Flamer. Okay. Or a Plasma Ejector, which is 8 inches, heavy D6, strength 7, AP-3. Ha! This weapon automatically hits its target. It is a Plasma Flamethrower. That's nuts. Oh, that's nuts. Oh, it's a plasma flamethrower. That is crazy. Oh. So sad you can't deep strike and immediately do that. But, oh, that's crazy and fun. I like that. I like that. That is a crazy flamethrower. Holy... You can't overcharge it, but holy shice. That is heavy D6, strength 7, AP minus 3, and you can get up to 2 of those if you've got 2 Dreadnought close combat weapons. You can replace both your Stormbolter variants with... Oh, wow. That's cool. The Twin Las Pulsar is wicked. You make a... That's a good way to make a darker Dreadnought for Custodes. And it's a hell of a lot better than the regular Contemptor Custodes, because I held back a little bit in the initial review because, well, I wasn't too sure. But I've never been a huge fan of that Custodes Contemptor from the Talons box, because it's just a... You've got 2 options, only one of which is good, and even then, these blow it straight out of the goddamn water. Like, holy cripes. Forge World is where it's at, baby. So 2 heavy 2d3... Oh, yeah. So you can make, like, your own Contemptor Exemplar Mortis Custodes Dreadnought, which is crazy. And then, of course, it has a 5-up invulse save from the shielding, it has the Unyielding Ancient, and it has the Atomatic Overload, which basically just means it explodes 2d6 inches on a 6. Oof. Now, okay, the third little toy that Forge World has given us graciously to play with is, quickly before I go on to the next thing, what we're looking at for the Contemptor Exemplar, in terms of points cost, is it's 150 points base. It's got 2 Dreadnought close combat weapons, which are 40 points for 1, 50 for 2 of them, straight off the bat. And then... so it's 210 with its minimum default armament, because the Lastrum Stormbolters are 5 points each. So, at its minimum points cost, it's, 210 points for close combat weapons, and it's, Storm Heavy Bolter things. The Plasma Ejectors are 30 points apiece. Ooh, so 260 points for a Dreadnought that's for a Contemptor Custodes Dreadnought with Plasma Flamethrowers. That's awesome. It's a little expensive. It's a little bit more expensive than the Achilles for something that's close combat, but it's still pretty cool. At least they're Custodes, so they're going to be expensive because they are really, really powerful, and they do have a couple of different layers of protection. Heavy Flamers are 17 points apiece. Don't know why you'd ever put them on this thing when you have the Plasma Ejector, even though the Plasma Ejector is expensive. It's Twin Las Pulsar. Oh boy. So, the Twin Las Pulsar is 60 points apiece. So, yeah, I've got a 150 base plus 60. Just got my calculator out here for a moment. So 270 points for a Darker Dread. I'd take that. I imagine that's going to be, on paper, that's one hell of a Darker Dread. That's going to be a pain in the ass, and that gives some really good long-range firepower. It's at the minimum for long-range firepower, 36 inches. So, I reckon that's pretty good. 270 points is pretty good price to pay for this Dreadnought, all things considering. If you're bringing this in a game where you're using points instead of power, for 13 power to steal. So, their next toy is a fast attack choice. It is 16 power. It is the Caladius Grav Tank, shown up on the screen. Holy Emperor. So, this too has a degrading stat line. Its movement, its ballistic skill, and its attacks degrade like most vehicles, like most tank-like vehicles. Its movement is 16 inches at full power. Then 12 inches at its second degradation, and 8 inches at its last degradation. Its ballistic skill goes down from 2 up, 3 up, 4 up, and then its attacks, of course, go down from 3, D3, 1. Its weapon skill is a 6+, its strength 6, toughness 7, it's got 14 wounds, leadership 9, and a 3-up armor save. A grav tank is a single model. It is equipped with a twin oh man, these names. Illistius accelerator cannon. Illistius accelerator cannon, however you want to pronounce it, and a twin lastrum bolt cannon. Ooh, that sounds scary. And it has the stipulation of only one of these per detachment in your army. Just checked on the 4th one here at the end of the PDF document. Yes, they all have a stipulation that you can only have one of them per detachment. One's probably all you need, except for maybe the last one and this one. But still, they seem plenty powerful. 14 wounds, 3-up armor save. That's before we get to its abilities and its guns. So looking at its guns, what really makes a tank? So, a 16-inch movement floating tank. Holy Moses. Its twin Illistius accelerator cannons are 60 inches, heavy 8, strength 8, AP -3, D3 damage. Oh boy. It's a Custodes Sicarian. Oh boy. That is a lovely 60-inch range on a lovely heavy 8 on something that's ballistic skill 2 up. 3 up if it moves. AB -3, D3 damage. That's... Woo! Its twin lastrum bolt cannon is 36 inches. It's heavy 6, it's strength 6, it's AP -2, and it's 1 damage. Basically, it's a heavy phosphor gun, but without the ignores cover effect. Yeah. Those are pretty decent. Those are pretty gnarly guns, to be honest. And long-range shooting is something that, I'll be honest, is really hard for the Custodes to do well currently, fresh out of the Codex. Mostly because they're only really long-range unit that has anti-armor, that's strength above 4 for their shooting, that's comes in the form of Land Raiders and the regular Contemptor Dreadnought. So this grav tank is certainly a welcome addition, I think. I think you probably want one of these. It's gnarly. It's a hover tank, so everything's measured from its hull. It has the gravitic backwash. Models attempting to make melee attacks against this unit suffer -1 to all hit rolls to a maximum of 6+. So the age-old tactic of pop down next to the Custodes player's Land Raider, assault it with thunder hammers, and bash it to death. Congratulations, you're hitting on 5s? Wow. We're assuming it's a Space Marine? Or 4s if it's a Captain Space Marine? Cool. It's useful if you ever get into melee with this thing, which is a place you never want to be with it, but still helpful. Because bad things can happen. I know this since I suck at this game. I'm not that bad. I'm actually pretty good. Flare shielding. This model has a 6+ invulnerable save. Okay. I mentioned this in the Codex. Yeah, so that'll go to a 4-up. Yeah, that will go to... Yeah, so that'll go to a 4-up, just like every... No, that'll go to... So the Contemptors will go to a 4-up for their automatic shielding, and the Caladius Grav Tank will go to a 5-up invuln save. So 3-up, 5-up, -1 to hit in melee. That's pretty good, right there. Its next one is Enhanced Auramite Alloys. It is a 6-up Feel No Pain, basically. The same thing that the Contemptors have. Roll a 6 each time it takes damage. On a 6, the wound is not lost. So, that is a beefy tank. So, 14 wounds, has -1 to hit it in melee. It's got a 6+ invul save, 5+ if you're taking it as part of a Custodes only detachment. It's got a 6+ Feel No Pain. It does explode, which is its final ability. And it has... oh my, I didn't even get to its keywords. So this is funny. So there's a quick designer's note that this tank will have more war gear that will be represented in future Imperial Armour, which I'll cover said Imperial Armour eventually when it comes out, because I buy all these books. It has the Imperium keyword, Custodes keyword, but it also has vehicle and fly. It has the fly keyword. Even if they get into melee with those Thunder Hammers, which will be hitting you on 5s. Oh boy, just fly away and shoot them with your ridiculously powerful guns. Oh boy. Oh boy. That's still, for your points investment, you'd probably want a Custodes tank to be that beefy. That you kind of want it to be that beefy. Sadly, just off the top of my head, there doesn't seem to be... no, there's no real way to really enhance the Custodes grav tank with stratagems. A few relics might affect it, but those are here or there. You can definitely... I'm pretty sure the Vexillas affect it. Yes, they definitely do. So you can make this thing -1 to hit in the shooting phase as well, which makes it a lot more survivable. -1 is very huge in this game. Yeah. None of the other Vexillas really matter towards it. They don't really help it. Shield Captains will let it reroll 1s to hit. Trajan Valorn will let it reroll 1s to hit and wound. So that's pretty neat. All in all, it's a pretty neat tank, and just the kind of non-Land Raider firepower they need. To be honest, I'm not a huge fan of the Custodes Land Raider. There's not a lot that's really unique about it since it lost... since it lost the ability to have an invul save. Like, sure, it's 16 wounds, but I'm putting this out there. In no way do I think the Custodes grav tank is a replacement for a Venerable Land Raider. I just think it's a better, cheaper solution, even at max points cost, for long-range, fast-moving, durable firepower than the Venerable Land Raider, in an army that is predominantly infantry and dreadnoughts. That said, its points cost, it's 220 base, so whipping out my calculator again, so it's 220. I'm looking at this for the first time, by the way. So it's 220, and then it's got its Twin Illustrious Accelerator Cannon, which is 70 points. And then the Twin Lastrum Bolt Cannon is a further 25 points, so 315 points. It costs almost as much as a Land Raider. A little cheaper, actually, because Land Raiders tend to be about 350 with the general Twin Las Land Raider. So it's a little bit cheaper than a Land Raider. It's a hell of a lot faster. It's with the amount of different kinds of saves it has, it's I'm pretty sure mathematically it's a lot more durable. It certainly is a hell of a lot faster and a hell of a lot more long-ranged. And it can fly, so there's that. Flying is nice. Now, the last unit is a heavy support unit. It is 19 power. This unit is the Coronis Grav Carrier. Now this I believe to be a Custodes Land Raider in its purest form, because not only looking at the model, but also its stats, it's basically just a Land Raider, but awesomer in a lot of different ways. So, first, let's look at the stat line of this Custodes Grav Carrier. So, the Custodes Grav Carrier has 3 degradations. It has, at its max degradation, it has its movement, its ballistic skill, and its attacks, of course, degrade. Its movement is 14 at max, 10 at its second, 6 at its lowest. BS is, of course, 2, 3, 4. And then its attacks are, of course, 3, D3, 1. It has a strength 6. It has a weapon skill 6+. It has a toughness 8. It has 18 wounds. So it's the same. It's a couple less toughness than a Land Raider. Sorry, it's a couple less strength than the Land Raider. It's the same toughness as a Land Raider. It's got 2 more wounds than a Land Raider. It has a leadership 9, so same as that. The Custodes Grav Carrier has a 3-up armor save instead of a 2-up armor save. Not as great. It's a single model, of course, equipped with the twin Arachnus Las Blaze and a twin Lastrum Bolt Cannon. We know the Lastrum Bolt Cannon is pretty decent. And of course, it has a stipulation that you may only include 1 of these units per detachment in your army. Cool. Cool. It has... So this twin Arachnus Lasblaze. It has 2 profiles. It has a beam mode, which is 36 inches, heavy 2, strength 9, AP -3, D6 damage. Okay. It's got a twin las cannon on it. It has a 36-inch twin las cannon on it that hits on a 2+. Okay. So, thus far, it's definitely resembling a traditional Land Raider, but faster and with more wounds, but a little bit lighter armor. It's got a twin Lastrum Bolt Cannon, of course, which we already talked about. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. It's burst mode on the twin Arachnus Lasblaze. So it has beam mode, which is a twin las cannon, basically. And then it has burst mode, which is 24 inches, heavy D6, strength 5, AP -1, D3 damage. So, I dislike that it's D6 shots. For something that's only strength 5. Yeah, I'm not particularly a huge fan of that burst mode, to be honest. That doesn't seem... But, because, you know, for that kind of things that, you know, that kind of strength level is going to be targeting, you've got the twin Lastrum Bolt Cannon. I mean, if it wasn't for the D6 shots, it'd be great for taking out things like Primaris Marines, or multi-wound Marines, and multi-wound light armored units, Tyranid Warriors, Demons spring to mind, Demon Chariot, stuff like that. Things with, you know, multiple wounds, but not so great armor saves. Or at least middle-of-the-road armor saves. But, it's only strength 5. And it's heavy D6. It's 24 inches, doesn't matter. This thing's going to be going straight at the enemy. Trust me, I'll explain to you why in a minute. So, I don't know. That burst mode just doesn't strike me as a really good weapon. The beam mode is nothing to argue about there. Twin las cannon. Hey, it's twin las cannon. Don't argue. The twin Lastrum Bolt Cannon is, of course, a pretty decent gun. Strength 6, even if it's middle of the road. AP -2 is decent. 36 inches. Heavy 6. Sure. Let's see. Abilities. It has the hover tank. Of course. It's got the gravitic backwash, so it's -1 to hit and melee. Cool. It has the flare shielding for the 6+ invul save, which will go to a 5+ invulnerable save in a Custodes only detachment. It has the enhanced Auramite alloys, which will give it a 6+ feel no pain. It explodes on a 5 or a 6, dealing D3 mortal wounds to things within 6 inches. There is a designer's note that future war gear will be available. for this unit in an upcoming Imperial Armour volume. It is a transport, as you might have guessed, from the fact that it's called the Custodes Grav Carrier. This model can transport 6 Adeptus Custodes infantry models. Doesn't say what kind. Doesn't say it takes more to put in Alaris Terminators. So, hey, that is a fantastic waste of time if you put Alaris Custodes in there, since they can deep strike. But it does protect them, I guess. The first thing that immediately jumps out to me that you would put in there, Wardens. Custodian Wardens. With their Castellan Axes, because they're basically Custodian Guard, but better, but they can't take the 3-up invul save, so they're just that touch bit more vulnerable. But they do more killing and are more durable overall once they get stuck in. Because more attacks, Castellan Axes, feel no pain on 5s. So, yeah. Overall, that's a pretty cool vehicle, really. It's a flying Land Raider. It's a flying, more lightly armed Land Raider. But with all the, again, it's got more ways of evading damage than the regular Venerable Land Raider, while still being a little bit cheaper points-wise. It, of course, has vehicle, transport, and fly for its keywords, and Imperium Custodes. So, sadly, there's no real stratagems. There's only a few relics. A couple abilities affect it. So-so. Pulling out the calculator once more so we can look at its points cost, so we can get an understanding of, you know, how this thing compares to a Venerable Land Raider, which normally sits at about, they normally sit about 350. So, the Custodes Grav Carrier's base cost is 285 points. Its Twin Lastrum Bolt Cannon is 25 points. And then the, Twin Arachnus Lasblaze is 60 points. Okay, so, it comes to 370 points total. Now, what does that say about it compared to a regular Land Raider, considering a regular Land Raider, while not being as fast with only a 10-inch movement, and not having as many different ways to protect itself, not having a -1, not having fly, not being able to fall back and shoot, not having 14-inch movement, not having an invul save. For something that's slightly more expensive, but it does carry one more... this is something I didn't even focus on during the review, and I didn't even catch on to it now. Because there was no need for me to think about it, because a lot of the time it was like, there's only squads of 5 you want to be putting in this. You can only put 5 Adeptus Custodes infantry inside of a Venerable Land Raider. The Custodes Grav Carrier, you can put 6, which means you have room for a Shield Captain. A Shield Captain in Terminator Armor. So that he can jump out and support the tank and the squad in there with him. So, something I learned playing Elder, never underestimate the ability to fit one extra model inside of a transport. So, it has its advantages and disadvantages over a regular Venerable Land Raider. Overall, I think it's so much cooler than a regular Venerable Land Raider. So much cooler. Even if its weapon, its main one, the Arachnus Lasblaze, is a little underwhelming and a little overpriced, if you ask me. But, yeah. So, there you go. There you have it. That's everything for the new Custodes. That's continue our coverage on them. FAQ. So, overall, what did we learn that was new from the FAQ? There's only one thing that really mattered there. Everything else was really kind of already made sense to me. Maybe it already made sense to me. It did elaborate to me that the Wrath of Angelus is not the greatest relic. Not that I thought so to begin with. The Vexillas, I thought that was obvious. The Vexillus Praetor, Teleport Homer, there. It's really expensive, so kind of not really... Doesn't matter that you can only just do it for 1 unit per 3. It's 3 command points. You're only going to be doing it probably once anyway. The Ever Vigilant is actually a important FAQ for Custodes players to keep in mind when someone, particularly people who are playing what we traditionally call Hero Hammer, try to deep strike a whole bunch of characters down in front of you. Just makes them a whole lot more annoying for your Custodes to deal with. So it raises an awareness for Custodes players to be on the lookout for them. And it raises some precedence for all the other factions that also have the same thing, that allow them to shoot at stuff that sets up. You still cannot target a character unless it's the closest. When you choose your Vexillas, that seemed obvious to me. The Trajan Valoris using his thing, it's nifty. It's a little bit of cheeky play. So, coolio. As for these new units, just to recap my thoughts on them, I think the Achilles is awesome. I think it's an awesome dreadnought. I think it's an amazing close combat dreadnought. I absolutely love this thing. It kind of reminds me of a Space Wolves Venerable Dreadnought with its axe, but crazier, because it has more ways to live. Actually, it's almost the same thing, but with one less invul save and the ability to do mortal wounds on the charge. So, neat. So, the Achilles is definitely something you want to try out. It's definitely the two dreadnoughts overall are a hell of a lot better than the regular stupid Contemptor dreadnought inside of the Codex. I think when the Imperial Armour comes out, giving you all the available options, you're going to be going straight for the Exemplar Dreadnought and the Achilles Dreadnought and the other Custodes Dreadnoughts. I think you're going to go straight for them because the regular Contemptor is not worth considering. It doesn't bring anything new or different that these these Dreadnoughts that Forge World have just put out don't do better. Like, sure, you can give it a Carey's Pattern Assault cannon, strength 7, AP -1, 6 shots. Boo-hoo, you have Storm Bolters now on these ones that are, sure, they're only strength 5, but... Actually, are they strength 5? Yeah, they're only strength 5, but 8 shots instead of 6 shots. They're a better way of dealing with Daka to swarms, but the other weapons, like the Twin Las Pulsar, seems really cool on a Daka Dread, and is a hell of a lot better than the Multi-Melter. And the Plasma Ejector is, again, it's a Plasma Flamethrower. There's no reason not to love it other than its points cost. And, of course, when Future War Gear becomes available, you might see other crazier stuff. Like, on the Forge World website, you've got a crazy number of items to pick from, which could be coming in the future for things like the Orion Assault Dropship, the Custodes Aquilon Terminators, the Galatus Dreadnought. Would love to see that. Things like the what's it called? The There's another Dreadnought which available. There's the Agamatus jet bikes. There's a whole bunch of there's Calidus Annihilators, which have like grav cannons by the looks. You've got the Telemon heavy dreadnoughts. There's all sorts of crazy stuff available for Custodes, which if we see in an upcoming Imperial Armour would make these units even crazier. In the meantime, for their points cost, even in a Custodes army, which is already going to be low points, I think they add in a lot and are definitely worth considering. I mean, the Dreadnoughts immediately had me taken with going, yes, already far superior to the regular Dreadnought, take them. Take them if you want to take a Dreadnought. Sure, they're expensive, but hey, you know what? I'm compelled. I'm going to go look and do the thing right now and look at how much a regular Contemptor with the carries costs compared to the prices we looked at before of the thing. Just pause the recording real quick while I pull out and do some math. Yeah, so math-wise, it's 195 points for, you know, actually, I don't think I included the cost of the, thing, but it's close to 200 points for a, you know, a, Venerable Contemptor Dreadnought. Considering you get so much more out of the Contemptor Achilles and the Contemptor Exemplar and for only, you know, third of the cost more at 260 and 270. Sure, it's basically an extra. I think its cost is justified because they're just so much better. They just have better weapons overall. Sure, they have the same sort of. Well, they don't. They're better. They're better, and I think for the points cost increase, they're worth it for the stuff you can do with the Dreadnoughts in particular. I spent a lot of time on these Dreadnoughts. As for the tanks, there's nothing in the Codex remotely close to the Custodes Grav Tank. You want the Custodes Grav Tank. It's an awesome Grav Tank. It gives Custodes something that they're desperately lacking. Long-ranged mobile firepower. That's not a Land Raider. Brilliant, and it's durable. Yes, it's expensive, but it's the equivalent of a Custodes Sicarian or... Well, it's the equivalent of Custodes Sicarian tank, which in themselves are already nuts. So, it's awesome. And it's decently priced considering everything it does. The Coronis Grav Carrier, it's a toss-up between it and the regular Venerable Land Raider. I like the Coronis a bit more because it's a... While it is lacking the armor save, it's got a few more different ways of getting around damage being thrown at it. It actually gets an invul save. It gets the -1 melee. It can fly. So, yeah, it's faster. So as an assault it's got more wounds. As an assault transport, it strikes me as probably the better one. Yeah. Hino there on the Coronis Grav Carrier does have that extra slot, that one extra transport capacity. So, there's that. So, Custodes are changing a little bit, and I suspect they're going to change a lot more in the future as we get an Imperial Armour. When an Imperial Armour, and we have the final on what these are, for now, this is what they are. We won't cover any more FAQs. We won't cover any more of those that come out in the future if they come out. But that's it for our follow-up coverage of the Adeptus Custodes Codex. Thank you for listening, and I will talk to you all next time. Thank you very much for listening, and be sure to check out our other stuff, or be sure to check out our review of the Adeptus Custodes Codex, or any of our other codexes' reviews or battle reports.